Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Quran Weekly. This is Qutaibah Abbasi from Dallas, Texas, and I'm really psyched to be speaking to you today. Inshallah, we're going to talk about a topic around trials and tribulations and how we can really benefit from our situations that we go through in our daily lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, after أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا وليعلمن الكاذبين. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He poses a question to every human being who claims belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His deen. He asks all of us, do we think that we will be left alone upon claiming belief and we won't be tested? And He subhanahu wa ta'ala, He answers that question. He answers that question telling us that this was the case since the beginning of time for every human being. That all of us, we were tested. We were tested in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to know who amongst us were truthful in our claims and who amongst us were liars. So we can see in this ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He ties al-iman with ibtila, with the test. Yani, if you claim iman, you will be tested. If you claim belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you claim you are a Muslim, if you claim you are a mu'min, you will be asked to put your money where your mouth is. You will be put in situations where you will have to define yourself. Are you a Muslim or not? I want to share a story with you of someone who was tested, an average individual, perhaps even less than average, who, because of the way she responded to her test, the way she reacted to her test, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignified her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exalted her ranks to the extent that she was worthy enough to be mentioned to our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the story of the hairstylist or the salon stylist of Firaun. This story was narrated to our beloved Prophet ﷺ from the angel Jibreel on the night of Isra wal Mi'raj. As the Prophet ﷺ was ascending to the heaven, he came upon a rih, a smell, a fragrance if you may, a beautiful smell. And he inquired to Jibreel ﷺ what this smell was. So Jibreel alayhi salam, he replied to Muhammad and he said, this is the smell of the hairstylist of Firaun and her children. So Muhammad alayhi salam, he didn't know this story. Imagine, he didn't know the story of this lady and her children. So he asked Jibreel alayhi salam, tell me, Ya Jibreel, tell me, O Jibreel, the story of the hairstylist of Firaun and her children. So Jibreel alayhi salam, he began the story. He said one day the hairstylist of Firaun was combing the hair of the daughter of Firaun. And as she was combing the hair, the comb fell to the ground. The comb fell to the ground. So she reached over to pick up the comb. And as she reached to pick it up, she muttered, Bismillah. And the daughter of Firaun heard her. So the daughter of Firaun asked her, Bismillah, yani Abi, in the name of God, you mean my father? And the hairstylist replied to the daughter of Firaun, she said, Rabbi wa Rabbi abuki wa Rabbu samawati wal ard. My Lord and the Lord of your father and the Lord of the skies and the earth. The daughter of Firaun asked her, can I tell my father what you have said? Just imagine, this was in a tyrannical society, an oppressive society. there was no freedom of speech. There was no due rights. There was no trial or lawyers and speedy trial. So the hairstylist told the daughter, "Go ahead, tell your father whatever you wish, whatever you please, tell your father." So the news went to Firaun that a certain someone, an insignificant slave, was challenging his claim to being God, and that there was an ilah, another God on top of him. So he summoned this hairstylist in front of him and his advisors, and he held this trial. And he asked her one simple question. One simple question. "Man rabbuki ya mashita?" Who is your Lord, O hairstylist? Look how he addressed the hairstylist. He didn't even call her by her name. He addressed her by the status that she held in that society. Basically, he was saying, who is your Lord? Who is your Lord, O hairstylist? She looked at Firaun and she replied, "Rabbi wa rabbuka Allah." My Lord and your Lord is Allah. Ya Allah. Imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, you are in front of a dictator, a king. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the most oppressive tyrant that will ever walk the face of this earth. You're in front of him and his advisors. And he asks you, who is your Lord? Look at this test that she was put into. And she replied with no hesitancy, my Lord and your Lord is Allah. So Firaun, he smiled and he realized what he's dealing with. So he sent her home. He sent her home and he told her, you will be summoned tomorrow, you and your family. So she went home that day, and Firaun had prepared a big cauldron, a big cauldron. Ibn Kathir said that in that cauldron, an entire cow, live, can fit into it. And in this cauldron was put water, and that water was boiled to the point that Ibn Kathir, again, he explained that the water was shooting out and touching the ground beside the cauldron or the pot. And then he summoned the hairstylist and her family. And he asked her, "Man rabbuki ya mashita?" And she replied immediately, "Rabbi wa rabbuka Allah." So he took her oldest child. He took her oldest child and threw him in the pot. And his body melted in that boiling hot water. And then he turned to the mashita. He turned to the hairstylist and he asked her again, "Man rabbuki ya mashita?" Who is your Lord, O hairstylist? And after seeing her first child being melted, she felt the pain. Just imagine, your child. She felt the pain. But she desired Allah. So she replied, "Rabbi wa rabbuka Allah." And Firaun, he took her second child and he threw him in the cauldron, in the pot. Then he asked one more time, "Man rabbuki ya mashita?" And this time she was hesitating. She had one last child, a baby infant. But even as she hesitated, she realized the gravity of her test. It was much harder than just statement, just saying something. It was affecting her life, her family, her livelihood, everything. But she still replied. She still replied what she desired more, what she wanted more, what she felt was more important than herself, what she felt was more important than her life, than the lives of her children. She said, "Rabbi wa rabbuka Allah." So Firaun, he took her last baby infant, her last child, and put him at the rim of that pot. Put him at the rim of that pot. And he said, "Man rabbuki ya mashita?" Who is your Lord, O hairstylist? And she was hesitating. She was hesitating until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He revealed a miracle. In all of this test, He made the baby speak. And the baby spoke to his mother and told her, تقدمي يا إمي ولا تحزني فإننا في الجنة. Come forth, my mother, and do not worry, do not despair, don't lose hope, because we are in Jannah. So she replied, Rabbi wa Rabbuka Allah. And Firaun took the child and her mother and threw them in the pot, and they melted away. So when we look at this story, my dear brothers and sisters, this test that she went through, we understand that, yes, on this earth, it was insignificant. She died and thousands of years passed. No one heard about her, but one man did. And that man is one that we claim to love, one that we adore, one that we emulate our entire lives after. She was dignified in front of the one that is most beloved to each and every one of us. So if she was dignified to him, she must be dignified to us. She was mentioned to our beloved Prophet ﷺ, so she is an example for us, for our trials, our tribulations, our tests. When it comes to Iman, we will be tested. But how will we respond? Will we respond like the mashita, like the hairstylist? Will we respond like the ulama? Will we respond like the Sahaba? Will we respond like the Anbiya? One thing we see as a commonality between all of them is that their response was their trust and love and reliance and dependence on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every aspect, starting from Adam alayhi salam through all the Anbiya, the Sahaba and all the Sahaba's trials and tribulations, the ulama, all the tribulations that they went through, and even this insignificant lady. They returned to Allah in the time of their test. They asked for Allah's help. They hoped in Allah's mercy. They relied only upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of that complete reliance in regards to this test and tribulation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected them, my dear brothers and sisters. And that is what we must work on. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to establish a stronger relationship with Him. Allahumma ameen. Jazakallahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Quran Weekly. So do yourself a favor, if you benefited from this video, go ahead and like it and share it on your Facebook and Twitter. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, as is narrated in Sahih Muslim, Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasana, falahu ajru wa ajru man amala biha, that whoever does something good, inshaAllah ta'ala, and starts it or shares it and other people follow, then he will get the reward that he has, and of course the reward of anyone who followed him in that, inshaAllah. So if someone else benefits from this, you get the same reward as the presenter, inshaAllah, and the same reward as the producer. So go ahead and like it, love it, share it. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.